Hey, what's going on, guys? Brian from Zombie Guitar here. This is part 4 of the mode series. Alright, so today we are doing the Lydian mode. So that's what I was doing in the beginning there. I was just improvising in the A Lydian mode. Alright, so in the first 3 parts of this series we did A Ionian, then we did A Dorian, then we did A Phrygian, now we're doing A Lydian. Okay, they're all A. Alright, so starting off with the scale formula, we'll first compare this to the major scale because this mode is most closely related to the major scale, whereas the Dorian and the Phrygian were closely related to the minor scale. Okay, so looking at the major scale formula, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so the only difference between the Lydian mode and the major scale is it has a sharp 4. Okay, so the Lydian mode has a sharp 4, so its scale formula is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so playing the two back to back, let me play the A major scale, then I'll play the A Lydian mode so you can hear the difference. Here's the A major scale. Okay, now I'm going to raise the 4th degree, and I'm going to play the A Lydian mode. Okay, it's got a bit of an exotic sound to it now. Alright, so now let me play the Lydian mode in 2 octaves so you can really get to hear what it sounds like. Okay, so when you go through 2 octaves, you can really hear how that sharp 4 really makes a difference between the more commonly heard major scale and the Lydian mode. Okay, so that's the scale formula for it, so let's get to some uses next. Okay, so some common uses for the Lydian mode. The Lydian mode works over major chords, okay? It works over major 7th chords, and as with the other modes, aside from Aeolian and Ionian, modes generally don't work with full-on chord progressions. Usually they work best with 1 or 2 chords, okay? So what I was doing in the intro was I was simply just alternating between the A major chord and the B major chord, and that was the rhythm that I was soloing over. Now the reason that I was using the Lydian mode over that is because if A is your 1 chord, A major, and then you have a major 2 chord, okay, that is what you would find in the Lydian mode, because if you were in just the regular major scale, the diatonic key of A major, then the 2 chord would be minor. Okay, but because the 2 chord is major, that is why the Lydian mode is used. Okay, so, and the specific note that makes the 2 chord major, that happens to be the sharp 4 of the Lydian mode, okay? Okay, so that's what makes that 2 chord major. So, the Lydian mode, you can figure out the other chords that are created by the notes in this scale. Okay, so if you just want to look at the notes of the A Lydian mode, you have A, B, you have C sharp, you have D sharp, E, you have F sharp, you have G sharp, and you have back to A. Okay, so if you wanted to build other chords from that you can go ahead and build other chords, but I was just using the 1 chord and the major 2 chord, which those combinations together would be a good use of the Lydian mode, okay? So the Lydian mode can also be used if it's a diatonic key and another major chord that is not part of that key happens to be thrown into the mix, or another major 7th chord or something like that as a temporary means over that one particular chord, okay? But as a little 1 or 2 chord vamp, you know, in this instance, the Lydian mode worked great. If you just wanted to kind of just play an A drone note over and over, that would be another great use for the Lydian mode. Yeah, so things like that. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Lydian mode spanned over the entire fretboard. Alright, so as you can see here, here's the one position that I showed you. Okay, so there's that position. Now this is now spanned across the fretboard using all the positions of the Lydian mode, and the A Lydian mode is a relative of the E major scale. Okay, so the E major scale would also be known as the parent major scale. Alright, so the A Lydian mode is relative of the E major scale, which is also a relative of the C sharp minor scale. So either one of those scale patterns would work. However, you constantly want to be thinking in terms of A as your tonal center, as your root note for this scale, because we're not playing E major, we're not playing C sharp minor, we're playing A Lydian. Okay, so A is always your home note. All right, but you know, the C sharp minor scale pattern and the E minor scale pattern, or the E major scale pattern, are part of it. Okay, because it's all relative to one another. So these are all the patterns of the Lydian mode. So let me just kind of just improvise a little bit in here, and you can kind of watch what I'm doing as, you know, and see the different areas of the fretboard as I'm kind of moving through things. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, so what I was doing there was basically I was just doing the same thing as what I was doing in the demo, in the intro, and I was, you know, just soloing up and down the fretboard using the A Lydian mode. All right, and same 7 notes, no matter what pattern I was playing, it was still just the same 7 notes. Tonal center's A. I was soloing in this area, I was soloing in this area, kind of moved up to here, kind of moved down to here. It doesn't matter which pattern you play, it's still the same 7 notes, and your tonal center is A, and therefore it's just A Lydian the entire time, okay? So yeah, that's basically it for you know, how to span it over the fretboard. You can always think in terms of your parent major or parent minor scale, whatever you want to do. If you want to think in terms of E major, you can apply all the E major scale patterns. Just remember that your tonal center is always going to be A and not E, alright, because this is A Lydian, not E major. Alright, so on to pentatonics. Alright, so Lydian and pentatonic. Now the Lydian mode can be not necessarily replaced with pentatonic, but you can use pentatonic in place of it. You're going to be removing some of the flavor notes which make it Lydian, but it's still, you know, the pentatonic would still work. So if you recall in part 2, we were able to take the A Dorian mode and, you know, kind of just use the A minor pentatonic right alongside with it, and everything worked fine. All the notes were contained right within the A Dorian mode. And then if you wanted to add your additional 2 notes in there, then you would have the full Dorian mode and give it its full Dorian flavor. Well, the Lydian mode is slightly different. Okay, with the Lydian mode, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find its relative. all right, in order to use pentatonics. So A Lydian, as we talked about in the last section, is relative to E major. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your E major pentatonic and you're going to use the E major pentatonic scale and its respective patterns, okay? So your E is right here. Your E is up here, 12th fret. So okay, so that's your pentatonic. That would be your pentatonic position number 1 that you would be using. Of course, keeping in mind that E is not your home note, nor is C sharp, okay? Your home note is still A, but within this pentatonic box, the A is not included, okay? So other notes of the A Lydian mode, all 5 other notes of the A Lydian mode are included, but the A is not included, and the sharp 4, which is what gives the Lydian mode its flavor, is not included, okay? But the other 5 notes are included, okay? So you can use this pentatonic, do your pentatonic licks, pentatonic runs, whatever you usually do with the pentatonic scale, but you also want to throw in your additional diatonic notes to make it the full A Lydian, because that includes the root A, the tonal center, and it also includes the sharp 4, which is what makes the Lydian the Lydian. All right, so let me just do a little improv over the same 2 chords that I was doing, the A major and the B major, and I'll start out with just some pentatonic stuff, and then I'll throw in the additional flavor notes, and you can see how it all works together. Alright, so that pentatonic box right there, works fine. So, if you're just going to do the pentatonic, you're excluding the A root, and you're excluding the sharp 4 flavor tone that makes the Lydian the Lydian. However, all the other notes are contained right within the A Lydian mode, so you can use that pentatonic if you want. And of course, you would expand to all other 5 pentatonic positions, and that would work just fine as well. Just keeping in mind what notes are being excluded when you do that. All right, so that's that's a great way to use pentatonics in conjunction with the Lydian mode. All right, so that about wraps it up for the Lydian mode lesson. I think you have heard enough of what this mode sounds like. All right, so this has a particular major E type sound. Okay, it's not quite as happy as the Ionian mode, aka the major scale. It's not quite as happy as that. But it's got a happy feel to it, but I can't quite put my finger on it. The best I can describe it is it sounds like Joe Satriani. I don't know why, but when I play the Lydian mode, it just sounds like Joe Satriani. Obviously not even nearly as good as him, but it just has that particular sound, and Joe Satriani songs like the Summer Song and stuff like that just have that Lydian type of sound to it, okay? So that's the best way I can describe the Lydian mode sound, okay? Listen to some of Joe Satriani's stuff. Alright, so that's enough of me rambling about this for today. That's the Lydian mode. Any questions, any comments, feel free to message me through the website. Alright, thanks a lot.